Hello everyone, it's May the 21st, 2022, and I want to share something really special today with you, something a little different from what I usually do. It actually came up as I did some research. First I was finding about that big solar flare in 1972, actually, which was a blast so massive that pretty much unprecedented. I guess the only one which comes close was the one in 1859, the so-called Carrington flare. But this one goes back to 1972, and I did some research. I want to share this with you. So first I want to give you some facts. So this was an extraordinary event on the Sun on August 1st, so big that even in the Vietnam War at the time, they observed landmines going off all by itself, and they figured it was the magnetic field distortion which happened. So there was even a report written on that. You can read that yourself if you want. It's the conversations.com blasts from the past, and I guess you will find it here. This is farther down in the article where it says the intensity of the early August activity peaked when an X-class flare at 6:21 Universal Time on August 4th, 1972 launched an ultra-fast coronal mass ejection toward Earth that reached Earth in a record time of 14.6 hours. Now this is truly exceptional. Usually the solar wind that expelled solar plasma takes about 2 to 3 days to travel the distance between Sun and Earth, which is 93 million miles. And that's wind travels when the Sun is normally active. It combusts at about 300 kilometers per second, and in this flare that wind speed, that solar wind speed, jumped up to phenomenal 1700 kilometers per second. I show you this here in another paper on this, which actually was a scientific paper which was then produced a year or so later, between August 2nd and 4th, 1972. McMath region, that's what the solar sunspots were called at the time, number 11976, produced a series of brilliant flares. And again, it mentions here the August 4th and 6:21 UT on August 4th. And it, as I said, it took 14.6 hours. Now here you see, this is old pictures from that time. This is that big sunspot which flared here directly Earth facing. And here you see the jump in the solar wind speed when 14.6 hours later the impact reached Earth, impacted Earth. So that's what was recorded. That was that jump from roughly 500 kilometers per second up to 1900 plus. So this was never before recorded. So I just show you here. I posted something on this event on my Facebook page a while ago, actually on May 1st. And I say it will be 50 years on August the 4th, 2022. One of the strongest solar flares in recorded history. And we get into the astrology in a moment, which is exceptional. That's why I'm making this little recording, so I keep you a little bit in suspension. First, I want to show you what really started me on that research, which was a Trunvalo video, which I did listen to. Trunvalo speaks here why the 1972 Syrian experiment was crucial for human evolution. So this is a totally different take on that whole event. if you're up to that alley, you're most welcome to watch that. It's quite interesting what he's sharing. I'm not sure about, I don't have made my mind, but it's definitely a very interesting way to see this event, and also shows that there's usually multiple layers when things are really happening, different reasons there can be behind. So let's go to the astrology now, and that's really where my focus was first. I was truly surprised. Yes, I was surprised to see this strong signature, and but it definitely confirms what I have been talking about for months on end now, how important the Greenwich location is as a fractal boiling Earth's energy down, Earth's kind of size down to one single point, being the place on this planet which is the fractal for the whole planet, and naturally this is quite exceptional. That was 6:21 on August 4th, and this is the heliocentric chart which we are seeing. So we're transferring the ascendant and the midheaven axis and the houses as this moment would be perceived on Earth up to the sun. It's kind of, you have to think of it as a resonance field. It's the resonance which matters in astrology. That's a very important one. So Mars rising here at 29:58 Leo, heliocentrically conjunct Pallas. This is definitely the signature of an exceptionally strong release of activity, of fire. Mars is the war of the planet of war, of fire, of it's the locksmith who works with fire, and so this is matching perfectly in Leo, after all, in the last minute here of Leo. And Pallas is about precise and exact impact. Pallas can be very, very much in arms, up in arms. It's the Amazon energy. And then we also have Ceres Pluto conjunction very close. Ceres always shows up when something happens in geologically, or something which affects the whole Earth. It's kind of the nurturing principle on an energetic level, and together with Pluto, I mean, this is clearly the signature of some exceptional amounts of transformative and deeply moving energies. Now this is just still in the heliocentric. Now let's go to the geocentric moment. That is the moment when the flare went off, when it was first photographed, seen. That is when the X-ray impact is reaching Earth, which is 8 minutes after it truly goes off. That is when the whole upper atmosphere of Earth is getting fried, when there's radio blackouts, all that stuff going on, as we're now approaching a solar maximum. So we see daily these big flares, which at for a certain while, usually when they're really strong, they are disabling all the communication on that side which is facing the sun. So let's see what is standing out here in the geocentric perspective. Most of all, it's the Pluto-Jupiter Venus T-square, particularly Jupiter Pluto, show often up when there's extreme energetic events. Jupiter is the amplifier in that sense, and also there is this perfect trine to the ascendant. Jupiter is the amplifier for sure. And then also we have this moon here in Gemini, and you just can think of 14 hours later the moon is pretty much here on Saturn. So for an extended period of time there were extreme auroras visible on that day and the day after up to much southern latitudes. Also, what stands out here is Ceres again, and the Sun. If you look at these two, the Sun as being naturally the originator of that energy, Ceres the nurturing principle, and they are exactly flanking the ascendant. If we do the math here, then this is 003 or so. That is the midpoint of these two, Ceres and the Sun. So there is a seeding of high frequency energy of Plutonic and Jupiter energy. So I just thought this was super interesting, as it confirms my understanding how important Greenwich is as a global, as the place which works to understand what's happening globally, which affects everyone, which affects the collective. Again, the zero meridian, which is dividing Earth into eastern and western hemisphere. Naturally, that makes sense, and why that latitude of 5129, well, 5126 is the septile aspect, 1/7 of a circle, which is, as I said earlier, is that door to infinity, the number 7 with the infinite number of digits after the comma, bringing in these unlimited possibilities, and so that is making sense. I mean, it's a human concept in that sense, but still, we as a collective, we are part of creation, and I guess we are meant to be part of creation. The existence has brought us here. Existence has created our thinking mind, and whatever we contribute, we are taking part in this creation process. So again, thanks. I just wanted to share this with you. Thanks for joining, listening, and subscribing, and talk to you soon. Okay.